Good morning, students. This is T. Dube. From your book First Flight, we are going to begin the third chapter, two stories about flying. As you can see, this chapter is divided into two parts. The first part is his first flight, written by Liam of Flaherty, and the second part, Black Aeroplane, is written by Frederick Forsyth. Let us begin the first part first, his first flight, written by Liam of Flaherty. And before we move on to the discussion of the chapter, let us know something about the author, Liam of Flaherty. Before we move ahead, let us know what you will learn in this lecture. You will learn about the author, Liam of Flaherty. Then word meaning, all the difficult words that have been used in the chapter. Theme of the story, narration of the complete story. And after narration of the complete story, you will be getting sequence of events based on keywords, so that you can answer any question based on the chapter. So let us move on the first topic about the author. His first flight, Liam of Flaherty. Look at the image of the author before we move on to the description part. About the author, Liam of Flaherty. Liam of Flaherty, born on 28th August 1896 and died on 7th September 1984, was an Irish novelist and short story writer and one of the foremost socialist writers in the first part of the 20th century. He wrote about the common people's experience from their perspective. After taking part in revolutionary activities in Ireland, old Flaherty settled in England in 1922. He wrote almost exclusively in English, except for a play, a notable collection of short stories, and some poems in the Irish language. Now, after we have learned something about Liam of Flaherty, let us know meanings of all the difficult words that have been used in this lesson, so that when we begin the narration, you can understand the story completely. So let us move to the word meaning part. Take a good quality notebook and write down all the words that have been used in this chapter and write down the meanings as well. And let us discuss the words and their meanings for some time. The word ledge means a narrow flat piece of rocks that sticks out from a cliff, or you can say that projects from a rock. The great expanse of sea means a wide area of sea or wide surface of sea. Flap means to move wings up and down. When a bird moves its wings up and down to fly, this is called flap. Plunge means to dive or fall. The word shrilly has been used several times in this chapter, which means harshly or sharply. The word upbraid has been used. It means scold, rebuke, or reprimand. Devour means to eat something quickly, swallow, or you can say consume also. Ascend means to move upward, rise or climb. The word blaze on has been used in the story, which means heating up fiercely or heating up hard, or you can say burning. Pretend means to make somebody believe something that is not true or that is not real. Hump is a bump in surface of something. Derisively means mockingly or sarcastically, or you can say making fun. Plaintively means sadly, sorrowfully, lamentingly. A monstrous terror means a big fear. Cow is a type of sound produced by birds, which can mean call, a croak, or a squawk. Beckon means to gesture somebody to come down or to give a signal to someone to come down or come somewhere. Exhausted means tired or shattered, or you can say deadbeat. And float means swim or drift, glide or hover. So these are some of the difficult words that you will come across in the story. And after we have discussed the words and their meanings, let us move to know the theme of the story. And after the theme, we will know the narration incomplete. Look at these two images carefully and try to find out the differences in the body language. It will help you understand the theme of this story, his first flight. In the picture at right hand side, the boy looks shy and hesitant. His folded hands and lowered head clearly drops the hint that he has surrendered. He does not want to take on the coming challenge. Contrary to this, the other boy's body posture, with hands on side waist, proud chest, and unblinkingly staring eyes, sends out a message to hardship or to the challenge. You come. I am ready to face you. This story also revolves around the same theme, that one should face the challenges of life bravely. The story is about a young seagull who is on the stage of learning how to fly, but he is afraid of taking his first flight. What is the reason? We will know in the story. But at the end of the story, we will find that the young seagull succeeds in overcoming his fear, in overcoming the obstacle, the challenge that he was afraid of at the beginning of the story. So now let us move to the complete narration of the story. Now open your book at page number 32. The image that you can see on the screen is given at page number 33 of your book. Look at this image carefully. You can clearly understand what is going to come in the coming paragraphs. As you can see, a young seagull is sitting on the ledge, and rest of the members of his family are flying. In this image, you can also see that there are some birds whose wings are smaller than him, but they are flying into the space. But he is not. The reason is the sea that is lying beneath the rock that you can see. And now, open your book at page number 32 and let us understand the mental condition of this young seagull. Opening your book at page number 32 and listen to the reading of the first paragraph. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings, and flew away, he failed to muster up courage. Muster up courage means gather courage to take that plunge, that means flight, which appeared to him so desperate. Then what happened? His father and mother had come around, calling to him shrilly, scolding him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. Then what happened? Let us know in the second paragraph. Now look at the second paragraph. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it, standing on a rock, while his parents circled around, raising a proud cackle. And all the morning the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him, means making fun of him, with his cowardice. Then what happened? Let us see next. Look at this image, and then you can easily understand what is going to come in the next part of the story. As you can see, in the extreme left, the young seagull is standing on his one leg. Why is he standing on his one leg? We will know in the story. As we have seen that all the members of his family have been making fun of him, ridiculing him, and calling him coward, a timid. So who is going to tolerate, bhai? So in order to attract attention of the members of his family, his brothers and sister, his father and his mother, he is doing this acting. Or maybe he is trying to give some audition to get a lead role in some Bollywood film. Like in the film Maine Pyar Kiya, it was the pigeon. So likewise, he too may be trying to do some acting so that he can get a role. Anyway, so he is trying to draw attention of his brothers and sister, who you can see in the second image are dozing off. The word dozing off has been used in the story, which means sleeping. And in the third image, you can see his father. What is his father doing? You can see with your own eyes. This action is called preening the feather. So he's cleaning his feathers, he's preening his feathers. But what about mother? Where is she? You open your book at page number 34 and let us see what mother is doing, around which the coming part of the story is revolving. So let us see what mother is doing in the next image. Now look at this image carefully and let us understand what is happening here. What conspiracy or what cleverness is being used by the mother seagull to make her young one fly. As you can see, the young seagull is sitting at the extreme edge or border of the ledge. It is just a matter of a second or a moment that he can jump into, or he can be into the space. This is what the mother seagull wants. As you can see that mother seagull is sitting on a hump and she is holding a fish in its beak. But very cleverly, she is holding it closer to the mouth of her young one, her child, and she is not giving that fish into his mouth. So the young seagull is wondering, he's surprised why she is not giving the food into her mouth. But something else is going on in the mind of the mother seagull. She is using his hunger or exploiting his hunger to force him to fly. As you must be knowing that so far as mothers are concerned, they understand their children better than their father. So this is what the mother seagull is trying to do in this image. And is she becoming successful in her mission, in her aim? Let us know in the story. Now open your book at page number 33 and listen to the reading of the story, beginning with the sentence, "The sun was now ascending." The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge, that means heating the ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge, as you can see in the image, and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, he closed one eye, then the other, and pretended to be falling asleep, as you have seen in the image. Still they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. Only his mother was looking at him, She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, her wide chest thrust forward. Now and again, she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to weight it. So, standing at the edge of the ledge, he's shouting, "Ga, ga, ga!" He cried, begging to bring him some food. "Ga, kola!" she screamed back derisively. Derisively means making fun. But he kept calling plaintively, and after a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of the fish and was flying across to him with it. He leaned out eagerly, tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, as you can see on the hump, she halted, her wings motionless, the piece of the fish in her beak almost within reach of his beak. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer, and then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. So till now we see that mother had forced the young seagull to dive at the fish which he wanted, and now he is into the space. Then what happens? Let us understand with the help of the next slide image that is coming. Now look at this image and let us understand what happened to the young seagull who had dived at the fish. In this image you can imagine this young bird is a young seagull, and after jumping at the fish, he is falling towards the sea or the ocean. So is he going to die, or what happens to him? Let us understand from the story. Now look at page number 35, beginning with the sentence, "with a loud scream," and listen. With a loud scream he fell outwards and downwards into space. Then a monstrous terror seized him, and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. The next moment he felt his wings spread outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. He was soaring gradually downwards and outwards, as you can see in the image. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Dizzy, as you can see, the meaning of this word is given in the margin. An uncomfortable feeling of spinning around and losing one's balance. So he felt as if he was going to lose his balance. Then he flapped his wings once again and he soared upwards into the sky. And as he started flying high up in the sky, he gave a proud sound. "Ga, ga, 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 ga." So he made this sound, and when the members of his family heard him calling like this, then they started responding, "Gao kola." His mother swept past him, her wings making a loud noise. He answered him with another scream. Then his father flew over him, screaming. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying round him, curveting and banking and soaring and diving. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly, and commended himself to dive and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. Now let us see. So after he has won the first battle, what happens next? Let us understand through the next slide. Now look at this image and let us understand what is going to happen in the coming paragraphs of the story. So far as the young seagull is concerned, he has won the first battle. He has overcome his first challenge. Remember the theme of the story? This story is about how to overcome the challenges of life. So far as the first obstacle, first problem, first challenge, first hardship, first difficulty is concerned, it has been won by the young seagull by becoming self-confident that he can fly. He is not afraid now. But still, there is one more problem. The problem is coming down on the surface of the sea or the ocean. So the surface of the sea is still frightening him. So in order to remove this fear of mind from his mind, what his parents are doing, look at the next part of the story, that means the last paragraph at page number 35. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on this green flooring ahead of him. Here green flooring means on the surface of the sea. They were beckoning to him. Beckoning to him means they were signaling or they were giving some gesture to come down on the surface of the water. Calling him shrilly, that means calling him loudly, come, come. So as he heard their call, he dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. He screamed with fright and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings. But he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise. So exhausted means tired by the strange experience. His feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched it, and he sank no further. So this was the second challenge that he won, that he overcome. And after he became assured, after he became certain that he was not going to sink also, then the mission of first flight was completed, and that we will see in the next slide. Look at the next slide. So looking at this image, you can clearly understand the young seagull is not sinking into the ocean. And then you look at the last part of this story. From the sentence, he was floating. So he was floating on it, and around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. And in this way he had made his first flight. So as you can see in the image, after the young seagull has successfully made his first flight, his father, his mother, his brothers, his sister, and also remote and near relatives have surrounded him and celebrating him, congratulating him, showing their unity that beta, you have succeeded and it's time to party, it's time to celebrate. So this is the story of his first flight. And now let us see the summary of this story, in which the keywords have been used, and if any question is asked from this chapter, these questions will be from these keywords that have been used to prepare the summary. Now after we have completed the story through images and explanation, let us understand how to write answer using keywords. This sequence of events has been prepared keeping only the keywords from the chapters in mind. And I assure you, if you memorize all these points by heart, you cannot miss any question, whether it is of objective type or short answer questions or even long answer questions. So memorize all these points used in the summary by heart, and then you take any book or any practice set from anywhere, you will write it differently. Always remember, when you write your answers, it sends out your knowledge, it sends out your understanding. So it all depends on how perfectly you write your answers. Now look at the first point and let us connect it with that we have completed. The first point tells us Remember the initial part of the story. The young seagull stands alone on the ledge, though his parents and his younger siblings, like brothers and sisters, have already flown away. He is afraid to fly because he feels that if he tries to fly, his wings would not support him and he would fall down into the sea that lies beneath the rock and would die. Seeing him behaving timidly, his parents come closer to him, shout at him loudly, scold him severely, and threaten to let him die of hunger unless he flies away. But of no use. Now, look at the next slide. Knowing that the young seagull has not eaten anything for a long time, the mother seagull uses his hunger to force him to fly. She tears at a piece of fish that lies at her feet and then scraps each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of food maddens the seagull. So, seeing the food in front of his eyes, the young seagull begs his mother to give him some food. But she tantalizes him. That means she teases him. She doesn't give him. She brings a piece of the fish very, very close to him, but does not give him. Then what happens? Look at the next slide. Maddened by hunger, he dives at the fish and finds himself into the open space. With loud scream, he falls outwards and downwards into the space. A monstrous terror, that means a big fear, seizes him and his heart stands still. He can hear nothing. But this moment of fear lasts only a minute. Soon he finds himself soaring or flying in the sky. He is no longer afraid. So after overcoming his first milestone of fear, his next frightening thoughts to land on the surface of the sea. His parents know that he is afraid of landing on the surface of the sea also. Then what do? To help him conquer his fear, his family members first sit down on the green floor ahead of him. Then what happens? After landing on the surface of the sea, they signal him, that means they call him to come down. When the young seagull comes down, he screams with fright, fearing that he will sink into the sea. So he makes an attempt to fly up back to his ledge, but he is too tired to do so. So he finds that he is not sinking, but floating or swimming on the surface of the water. And then his entire family begins celebrating his success by praising him, offering him scraps of dogfish, giving proud cackle, and he has made his first flight in this way. So this is all about this story. As I told you at the beginning of this summary part, memorize each and every point by heart and take any question, then you can answer quite easily. And always remember, whenever an evaluator checks your answer, you are not going to present yourself however intelligent you are. You have to show your intelligence through your unique answer. So whenever you're writing these points, highlight these points in your answer. Now wait for the next lecture on the black aeroplane.